Hi everyone, Miss Hamlet here again with a lesson from the unit Astronomy Space Systems. Here is your focus question for today. What is the universe and what are galaxies? Here is the lesson objective. I can recall the instruments and technology that scientists use to explore the universe. Here is your language objective. I can tell, write, and use pictures to show the instruments and technology that scientists use to explore the universe. Before we read, let's think. Let's think about this question. What do you know about universes and galaxies? You are going to first copy this chart in your notebook or in a Google Doc or a Windows doc or a slide or PowerPoint presentation. You will also look at this picture. Then you will write down what you see, what you think, and what you're wondering, any questions you have based on this picture. You can pause the video now to copy this chart into your notebook. Then, when you are finished copying the chart, you may continue with the activity, and when you are finished with the activity, you can press play for this video to continue. When you're answering the questions or you're answering in the chart, you can use the words I see for what you see, I think for what you are thinking, and I wonder followed by a question mark to write down any questions that you may have. Before we read, let's look at some of the focus words that we will see throughout our reading today. Universe. The universe is all of time and space all together. This includes planets, stars, galaxies, and all forms of matter and energy. Instrument. When we're talking about astronomy in this unit, instrument is not something that technically makes music. In science, and in this particular unit, we're talking about instruments that scientists use to observe, measure, and collect data. Satellite. A satellite is a device that goes into space. It's an instrument that scientists use that orbits a planet or a particular being that the scientists want to observe, study, measure, and collect data from. In this situation, this satellite is orbiting the Earth. Probe. A probe is another instrument that scientists use in order to collect data on a particular form of energy or matter. It typically lands on a planet or the moon, and we'll learn about probes today. A telescope. This is another kind of instrument that scientists use in order to see far into space, so it magnifies what we are not able to see with the human eye. A rover. A rover is just like a satellite and a probe, where it's an instrument that scientists use in order to collect data. Where this is different than a probe is a rover is able to actually land and move around using a remote control, or some kind of scientist is able to control it from a space station, and they can roam or rove throughout the terrain of wherever they land. First, I will read the text to you. As you are listening and reading along, think about the question at the bottom of the screen. Also, use the pictures to help you to understand what we are reading about. After we finish reading, you can pause the video so that you can read this part of the text on your own, and then answer the text-dependent question at the bottom of the screen. People use technology to explore space. Scientists have been using technology to observe, measure, and explore space for many years now. Humans control these instruments from Earth. Rovers. A rover is a probe that can travel after it has landed. It's a robotic vehicle remotely controlled to study the surface of a planet or moon. Rovers gather samples and collect data. They send information back to scientists on Earth. Here is your question. What is a rover? You can pause the video now to answer this question. A rover is a remote-controlled probe that collects data and samples for scientists to study. 2 rovers, Spirit and Opportunity, landed on Mars in 2004. Spirit collected data for 10 years, and Opportunity operated for 14 years. They found evidence that Mars used to have a watery surface and a water climate. Here is your question. What did the rovers Spirit and Opportunity find on Mars? You can pause the video now to answer this question. Spirit and Opportunity found that Mars used to have a watery surface and a warmer climate. Let's talk about probes. A probe is a kind of spacecraft that is launched from Earth on a rocket and sends information back to Earth via radio signals. Some probes land on other planets or moons. They send the data back from where they land and the objects they follow. Satellites. A satellite is an object that orbits another object. Satellites are launched from Earth on rockets, much like probes, and are guided into orbit around the objects they are sent to study. Satellites gather data, including photos, and transmit them back to Earth. Scientists take photos of planets, asteroids, and other objects of the universe. They help scientists study parts of the universe that are difficult to explore. Here is your question. How do probes and satellites help scientists? You can pause the video now to answer this question. Probes and satellites help scientists by collecting and sending information from other planets, asteroids, and other objects that scientists can't reach or see themselves. All about telescopes. Telescopes are instruments that show faraway objects in greater detail. Telescopes may consist of lenses and mirrors that focus light to magnify images. Telescopes may collect radio waves from distant objects and use them to create pictures of the objects. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched into space in 1990. Hubble collects light and has revealed the formation of stars and images of distant galaxies. Here is your question. What is a telescope? You can pause the video now to answer this question. A telescope is an instrument that scientists use to magnify or make things bigger. Now that we have finished the reading, you can continue your activity by filling out this graphic organizer your teacher has given you, or you can fill out one of the options for today. You can fill out 1 or 2 by using pictures, words, or sentence starters to complete your response to this question. What are the instruments and technology that scientists use to study the universe? You can use words from the word bank such as instrument, universe, measure, observe, rover, probe, satellite, or telescope. You can start your answers with these sentence starters, like scientists use, the types of instruments and technology used are, or in order to study the universe, scientists use, in order to complete your answer. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.